Hello, happiness abounders, and welcome back. Today, I am so delighted to talk about one of my favorite components of self-care. And when you hear what it is, you're probably going to laugh that it's one of my favorites. But I am what you could consider a little bit of an organizational fiend. Like, I really like to be organized. And the phrase, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen, is so true, specifically for me, but I think it's true for all of us when it comes to self-care. We put things off until we're burnt out, overwhelmed, and we absolutely need it. But what happens if we had self-care planned, prepared, organized in our life so that we never have to reach those tipping points of burnout and overwhelm and just needing a break? Think of what a difference that could make in our lives. So that's what I want to talk about today, being prepared for and planning and organizing your life to allow self-care on a regular basis. So, as always, what does that really entail? What does that really look like? And that's really dependent on you. But, like I said, if it's not in the calendar, it doesn't happen. How many of you does that ring true for? Like, it's just one more thing to remember, it's one more thing to try and do, but if it's on the calendar, you have time set aside. Now, people do this with working out all the time. I'm going to work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. That's planned. That's physical self-care planned in your calendar. But if you're like, yeah, I just want to work out, I'll find a time. Has that ever happened? Whatever it is, like, oh yeah, I want to do that, I'll find the time. But until you have it planned, or you're like, okay, I haven't been able to find the time, Saturday is the day, then it's planned. It has some organization surrounding it. And then it has a higher likelihood of happening. Now, I know that cannot just be true for me. I think it has to be true for some of you listeners as well. So as we talk about these things today, I really want you to consider how you are prepared for and organizing self-care in your life on a regular basis. So now thinking about, like, going back to our first episode of this week when it was like, when do you do self-care? When do you do self-care? Is it on the regular, or is it when you're overwhelmed? So how can we plan and prepare for self-care beyond just putting it in the calendar? I think that correlates back to the 5 areas, right? If you have a 4-week month, maybe it's setting aside time on Sunday morning just for yourself to take care of yourself emotionally on week 1, physically on week 2, spiritually or intellectually on week 3. Like, you see what I'm saying here? There's so many facets of this that it's easy to plan and prepare for self-care as long as we can be organized surrounding it. So, as you're thinking of ways to have self-care, let's do some examples, right? Some workshop brainstorming around what types of self-care we could plan and prepare for and what that might look like. So physical, right? I already mentioned planning and preparing for being organized around physical self-care could be as simple as designating a time to work out. It could be as simple as designating a time to go grocery shopping. Who's with me on that one? Like, yeah, I'll go grocery shopping when I have a chance, and then 2 weeks go by and you've eaten nothing but crap eat out food because you haven't had a chance and time to go to the grocery store. And until you're like, okay, Saturday is our day, we go to the grocery store on Saturdays without fail, I get enough food to last me till Saturday, and then I can go to the next Saturday, right? When we have that planned for us, when we plan it for us, higher likelihood to happen. So physical can be setting up times to work out and putting it in your calendar. Can be designating a certain day of the week to go grocery shopping. Can be scheduling a massage for yourself monthly, quarterly, something like that. Right? But there are several facets of physical that we can start to look at and plan and be organized for. So emotional. I've spoken about this before. For me, my emotional self-care happens in the morning. I will journal, I will do a sleigh technique, I will do a couple of things like that so that I can be emotionally better and have a better emotional well-being, and I have that planned every morning. Sometimes, usually on Wednesdays, I also have a evening cry. And I think I might have shared about this before, but if you haven't heard this methodology, Every Wednesday on my way home from work, I have a planned cry. I have a playlist of songs that make me cry. Side note, if you have a song that makes you cry, please send it to me. I would love to have my playlist continue to get built out so that those songs don't get overworked and then lose their impact, because they are supposed to make me cry. So send me that if you have one. But that said, Wednesday afternoons, after work, on my way home, so I guess Wednesday evenings, I'm in the car and by myself. It's a fairly long drive. And I play this playlist of songs that help me cry. And I cry not because I'm sad, not because I'm upset, but because I know that this is a release technique and a form of emotional self-care that I can allow, and physical, I can allow my body to cry and release these emotions. So I have that planned. Wednesday afternoons on my way home from work, I have a specific playlist. It's organized so that I can cry and have some emotional self-care. Mornings and journaling, same thing. So there's facets of emotional self-care that we can plan for. And this doesn't mean you have to hit all 5 areas every single day. But it is saying trying to find that balance and seeing if you're tipping the scales one way or the other, or if you're lacking organization and preparation in a certain area because it's maybe not your strongest area. So social. This one's easy to plan. Get on Facebook, there's always an event happening. Get on Meetup, there's always a group you can join, and then it's planned. You can put it in your calendar and you're good to go. Intellectual. Set up time to take classes or watch webinars or dive into TED Talks. Something like that. Listening to podcasts. That can be as simple as subscribing to a few podcasts and listening to them on your car ride to work. On that car ride to the grocery store. In the grocery store when you're shopping, right? So many facets of this that it's just, to me at least, it seems so easy to plan and prepare for it once we have it on our radar that we should plan and prepare for it. And the last one is spiritual. For a lot of people, that can mean a couple hours on Sunday at a religious institution. For other people, that's reading religious text or praying or meditating or whatever it is daily or over lunch or something like that, right? Whatever that is to you, but you can plan for it. If it's not planned for, it's not in the calendar, it won't happen. Now, I had mentioned, take a listen to some podcasts. It's going to take you a few minutes to get into a podcast platform, go in, find some that you think may be interesting, and subscribe. That's the organizational aspect of it. It's going to take a few minutes to set yourself up organizationally, but then you are set up for success because you don't really have to go back and reorganize. But now you're prepared for that self-care and you have calendared in a time to make it happen. So that's all today's episode is. It's just trying to convey that there are opportunities for self-care if we can be planning for it and organized around it. And the easiest, simplest way, single takeaway, is to calendar it in. And if you have other opportunities to be thinking about it and how it can work for you, then start doing that. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. I hope that you guys start calendaring these things in. If you do, I would love to hear about that process. You can reach out to me at happinessabound.com, Happiness Abound blog on Facebook, and happiness_bound on Instagram. I would love to hear from you, whether it's in the comments or in a DM, how this episode resonated with you and what you're doing to calendar in, prepare, and organize for self-care. So all of that said, have a wonderful day, take care of yourself, and above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.